Hi, so in this video we're going to look at Wilfred Owen's famous poem Dulce, Decorum Est. This is going to be a quick 5-minute video. Most of you will have studied this already, so this is just a quick summary to go back over it. Okay, first I'm going to explain the poetic devices as I go and just give a quick summary of what it's about. Okay, bent double like old beggars under sacks. Knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge. Now, he's describing soldiers here, and in the first line he uses a simile, bent double like old beggars under sacks. He's comparing soldiers to beggars. Now, if you can imagine, the people in England during World War I reading this would have been quite surprised by this description. People in England would have saw soldiers leaving in their pristine uniforms and coming back in their pristine uniforms. Okay, so describing like beggars would have been quite odd, but it's reality. He's showing the reality of war. So, like old beggars, he uses a simile there. Knock-kneed, coughing like hags. Again, a simile is used. He's comparing them to hags because of the coughing. We cursed through sludge. If you can imagine men coming through sludge, muck, and it's raining, it's pouring. They're cursing because the conditions are so bad. Till on the haunting flares we turned our backs. Okay, so the men were at the front line. They're heading back. So they're heading away from the front line. They're heading back towards their rest. Towards our distant rest began to trudge. So they didn't walk, they trudged. Okay, so everything's done. They're very tired. They just want to get back. Men marched to sleep. Okay, men marched to sleep. There's a bit of alliteration there with the M's. Okay, there's a bit of hyperbole there as well. They weren't actually asleep, but they were so tired they may as well have been asleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on bloodshod. Think of the imagery there. Their feet are covered in blood, but they had to go on. All went lame, all blind. Drunk with fatigue. He uses a metaphor here. Normally we hear people drunk with alcohol. They're so tired it's as if they're drunk. Deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Okay, so they can't even hear. Okay, so we have completely wrecked. They just want to their rest. Okay, if you think about the tone of that poem, it's quite sad, but it's also very slow. Okay, and the reason I'm mentioning that, the pace of the poem is quite slow. The reason I mention that is because straight away in the next verse we're going to go to now. Gas, gas, quick boys. Okay, the exclamation marks here make it very, very different to the first verse. Okay, so it's quick. So they've been hit with gas. An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. So the adrenaline is coming through them. That's the ecstasy he's describing there. And they get the helmets on just in time. But someone still was yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Now, a simile there to describe the man. He was like a man in fire or lime. So it was as if he was on fire. But the fire was not on the outside. The fire was actually taking place inside. He was burning from the inside due to the gas. Okay, dim through the misty panes and thick green light. The misty panes there are the panes of the mask that he's watching him through. And he can see, all he can see is thick green light. As under a green sea, I saw him drowning. Okay, a simile used here. He's comparing the gas to a sea, and he's comparing the man who is dying from the gas as if he's drowning. And he may as well have been drowning. Okay, we're going to see in the next verse what he does, okay, and it's human instinct, the fight or flight instinct takes over. His life is at stake. What does he do? In all my dreams before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. Now, why does he plunge at him? He wants the men to save him. Okay, it's as if he's drowning and he's putting his hand up to be saved, but he can't. And again, it's the instinct. If you've ever been involved in an injury or an accident, your body wants to run from danger. Okay, now look at these three verbs here. Guttering, choking, drowning. Okay, look at the way they flow in there. All very negative verbs. Now, we come to the final verse, and it's very important that we understand the final verse. If in some smothering dreams, so if you could dream, if you two could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in. Now, he's basically saying, I want you to imagine, I would love if you could dream and you could see this, because you can't. You're seeing the news, you're seeing the propaganda, you're not seeing the reality. If you could pace behind the wagon we flung him in. Think of an ambulance when it comes to someone's house and how carefully they place someone in the back of the ambulance. They didn't. They flung him in. And that shows you that in war, Things are very, very different. And watch the white eyes writhing in his face. Okay, alliteration there. The WWW, but think of the imagery there, the white eyes writhing in his face, okay? You can a picture there of someone's eyes, they've gone into their head, all you can see is the white. His hanging face like a devil sick of sin, again another simile. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth corrupted lungs, okay, gargling here, onomatopoeia, we can hear the gargling and his froth corrupted lungs, the imagery of froth coming out of his mouth. Obscene as cancer, bitter as the cut of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. Now that's an important line. Incurable means it can't be cured. The innocent tongues are the soldiers he's talking about. They have done nothing wrong. There were soldiers on both sides fighting, obeying their masters. What for? They didn't know. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest. So think of it in a speech here, a bit of a call to action. He's talking to the people of England at home, or the people of the world. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest, so you wouldn't tell with passion. To children ardent for some desperate glory. So you wouldn't tell these children about these famous heroes that are off to war. Children who think that this is glorious, who want some of that glory. And he calls it the old lie. And what is the lie? Dulce et decorum est por patria more. It is sweet and right to die for your country. He calls it a lie. He's telling us it's not sweet. It's not right. This is the reality. This is the reality. If you go to war, there will be blood come gargling from your froth-corrupted lungs. He's telling us it's as obscene as cancer. Simile again. Bitter as the cut of vile. Okay, just going to move on. Okay, the themes. The reality of war. Appearance v reality. Now, you might be wondering what that's about, but again, I mentioned the propaganda of the people in England being told about war being this glorious thing, that you would die a hero or come back a hero. He's saying there's nothing heroic about this, that this was grim, this was bitter. Okay, death, another theme there. Okay, Poetic Devices, simile, bent double like old beggars under sacks, coughing like hags, floundering like a man in fire or lime, as under a green sea. They're all similes. Alliteration, watch the white eyes writhing in his face. Onomatopoeia, the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs. The imagery, there are so many images from that poem that you could pick. He plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. So you can, the image of a man, he's in his, he's about to die and he's just plunging at anyone wanting to be saved. Okay, so they're the poetic devices you need to know. So in terms of answering a question, take a Junior Cert question that you have from your exam papers or from past exam papers online on examinations.ie and try to fit Dulce et Decorum Est in. Use what you've learned in the video, use your own notes and see how you get on. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to get access to more Junior and Leaving Cert English material. Thanks for watching.